How's it going, everybody? I'm Steve Ninja, and welcome back. So, first of all, please share with me what your top 5 or top 10 live albums would be. I'm sure yours probably won't match mine. Mine is mostly focused on like hard rock and metal. But obviously, in the '70s there were a ton of live albums. Frampton Comes Alive. I have that album, but I didn't include that on my list. Some great albums. Like Scorpions. I have like Worldwide Live, but I don't have like Tokyo Tapes. I've actually never heard that era of Scorpions. I've heard like Love Drive On. So I'm not familiar with that, but obviously people would say, like one of the greatest live albums ever would be like the Allman Brothers, Live at the Fillmore East, that kind of thing. I'm not a huge fan of them necessarily, but from what I understand, that's probably like a top 5 live album of all time. So I'm not doing like the top live albums of all time, but just ones I really enjoy. That's all I'm doing here. So in my top 10, I actually have one band that's going to appear twice, just because they're 2 live albums that I've loved since I was a kid, and I couldn't leave either one of them off. So you'll understand once I kind of announce it here. But if you follow my channel, you probably know what that band would be. But so at number 10, this legend just announced today that he's done with touring forever, based on his age and health issues. But this is Ozzy, Speak of the Devil, released in 1982. It's Ozzy after Randy Rhoads passed away. He, I guess, temporarily, Bernie Torme took over as a guitar player for his band, and then he was let go, and they were replaced by Brad Gillis from Night Ranger. And this is all Black Sabbath songs. I guess on this tour they actually did play the Ozzy songs from the first 2 albums, but on this it's just Black Sabbath songs only. And Brad Gillis did a good job on this. I think Tony Iommi has said before he thought it was kind of odd the way he played some of his songs. I don't think Brad Gillis really had enough time to really learn the set list necessarily, front and back necessarily. But I thought it has a really great sound and a lot of great Black Sabbath songs. So at number 9, this is actually one of 7 live albums from the '70s I have on my list. But this is Cheap Trick at Budokan. It's from 1978. Classic album. This is the complete concert. I think it only had like 10 songs on it before, and this has all 10 songs from that original release, and plus quite a bit more. It's a 2-disc set. Love this. Love the way it sounds. It's got those classic songs. Surrender. I Want You to Want Me. Just great songs. Those songs I like a lot more on this album than I do on the studio versions, which is really common in the '70s. So many bands did great live albums, and then you heard their the original recordings, and it wasn't nearly as good. But I love this one though. At number 8, I have Rush, Exit Stage Left. This is one of my favorite live albums. This is actually the second live album from them after All the World's a Stage. But I really love this time period though. This is from Farewell to Kings through Moving Pictures. And it's just the band at that period. I think they've had other live albums that had a lot more tracks on it. This one only has 13. It ends with La Villa Strangiato. I think that probably a couple of complaints I have about this is it doesn't have Limelight on it, which is great. And if you watch the DVD of this, Limelight's on that and has a lot more of the earlier stuff from 2112 and that period. But I just really like the way the band sounds at this period of time, just in that period of the tour for Moving Pictures. So at number 7, I have Led Zeppelin. The Song Remains the Same. This was actually recorded in 1973, so it's 50 years old now. It was released in 1976, and it's from the Houses of the Holy tour. If you have the album, you definitely have to get the Blu-ray for the movie, just to get like the extra features on it for sure, and get the excellent sound quality and picture quality. But I think the movie and the album definitely go together. You definitely need to get that visual. Especially every time you watch it, you'll hear the album. Every time you hear the album, you'll see the visual as well. But it's definitely worth owning. At number 6, I have Iron Maiden Live After Death. This is from 1985. I love the album cover for this. Probably my favorite Iron Maiden cover. This is from the Power Slave tour. You see Steve Harris there and the band inside there. Just love the set list on this. I think some people complained about Bruce Dickinson's voice at the time. Wasn't real great. But I love the set list on this for sure. It's just got some of the Iron Maiden classics on it, and I love the 80s Iron Maiden the most. At number 5, I have Kiss Alive 2. This is from 1977. Obviously, it's from the Love Gun tour. It also has songs from Destroyer and Rock and Roll Over. Love this time period. This is when the band was still together, and obviously side 4 of this is all like studio recordings and like Rocket Rides on it. But it has a Detroit Rock City, King of the Nighttime World. Has a Love Gun. I love the version of God of Thunder on this. So I couldn't leave this off. I had to include this, and so you'll probably see another one later. At number 4 from AC/DC, I have If You Want Blood, You've Got It. This is from 1978. This is the only actual live album featuring Bon Scott. I'm sure probably on box sets or whatever, they probably have other live recordings from him, but this is the only album that at least that I'm aware of anyway. It has songs from Power Age and Let There Be Rock, High Voltage. That time period, it's probably AC/DC at the most raw. It has a Riff Raff and Bad Boy Boogie, The Jack, Problem Child, Whole Lot of Rosie, Rock and Roll Damnation, High Voltage, Let There Be Rock, Rocker, Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be. Just it's only 10 songs, but like I said, it's probably the most raw they've ever sounded. At number 3, I have Judas Priest, Unleashed in the East. This is released in 1979. That's taken from the Killing Machine, Hellbent for Leather tour. This is the one that's obviously the 4 bonus tracks on it, but so many great songs. I think sound so much better on this live recording than they do on the studio albums. And I think Rob Halford said he was like sick at the time and he had to go back in the studio and re-record his vocals. But I think it has a real polished sound to it. Just like a lot of live albums at that time, they went back in the studio and kind of added and fixed things on it, which just makes it for a better live album. But is it really truly live? I don't know, but it sounds really good though. Exciter, Running Wild, Sinner, that's Genocide, that's Hellbent for Leather. Just so many great songs on it that just sound so much better on this. Number 2, I have UFO, Strangers in the Night. This is also released in 1979. I really love the way this sounds. This is the bonus. It has 2 bonus tracks which they added in tracks 1 and 2. But one really cool thing about this is it was I live in Indiana, so this album was recorded like in Chicago, Illinois, Youngstown, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, and Louisville, Kentucky. So it's all kind of in the Midwest here in the United States. But I love the way this sounds. Let It Roll, Lights Out. Love that song. I love the live version of Doctor Doctor. I think if you go to any Iron Maiden concert, they always play Doctor Doctor before they go out live. When you hear that song, that Iron Maiden's about to come out at that point. So that's always a cool kind of warm up for them. But love the way everything sounds on this. It just has a great live feeling to it. And it's just cool that they recorded in the United States. My number 1 live album is Kiss Alive from 1975. This is, just like I mentioned earlier, this is taken from the first 3 Kiss albums, which is their debut, Hotter Than Hell and Dressed to Kill. And the songs definitely sound way better on this than they do on those first three albums. It's got Deuce, Strutter, Got to Choose, Hotter Than Hell, Firehouse, Nothing to Lose, Come On and Love Me, Parasite, She, Watching You, 100,000 Years, Black Diamond, Rock Bottom, Cold Gin, Rock and Roll Night, and Let Me Go Rock and Roll. It's definitely those songs definitely sound great live on this. I think on this one too, they definitely said they went in and fixed a lot of stuff, a lot of mistakes. And I think the cover of it's not even from the stage that they were playing on. It was reproduced later, so they definitely messed with this. It's just to make the best album they could, and it's why it's probably one of the better live albums ever. That's all I have for you. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Like I said, please include your top 5, top 10, 15, 20, whatever you want to do. Some people love live albums maybe even more than I do, and they're passionate about it, and they want to at least share your top 5 with me. I really want to know. I love it when people share that kind of stuff with me. It's kind of interesting to see what they'll put on their top 10 or what albums they'll put in there and what order they'll put them in. So that's always great. But thanks everybody, and have a good night. Bye.